This is my very first Kitbashed Spaceship, and I'll tell you how I made it. Hi, thank you for tuning into the Tom Patelson Show. Yeah, this is my very first Kitbashed Spaceship. I'm a big fan of Adam Savage's show, Tested, which is here on YouTube, and he had a. If you don't follow him, I'm a subscriber and a Tested member. He builds geeky stuff. He builds geeky stuff. It shows you how to work with your hands, how to be organized, how to be creative, how to be a maker. And I'd never made anything. Behind me on the shelf of honor, I didn't have a ship. I didn't have a ship. So I decided I would kit bash my own spaceship. And that's what this video is about, showing you how I did it. Yeah, my ship was missing from the shelf. Now, let me tell you what you can't do. After watching Adam Savage's paneling video, which is how I got the inspiration to do this. He teaches you how to panel an object, make it look like something from a spaceship. You can't just get a piece of balsa wood and go hacking at it and then panel it with some styrene and put a bunch of greeblies on it from a bunch of models and call it a spaceship. Except that you can, and that is exactly what I did. How I started. I went to the hobby store and I bought these two models and this block of balsa wood. The models were 40% off in the bargain basement bin. It was just sitting in there, and I bought two models that look space-like rather than going with a military look. And I decided, okay, I'm going to design this ship. I let the ship design itself. I just started hacking away at it, and my first attempt, which was with half of the block of balsa wood, I started to carve at it and sand it, and I put that big loop in the back, that big slope in the back, and I thought, ooh, you know what this looks like? It looks like the drop ship from Aliens. That's what it reminded me of. It looks like the drop ship from Aliens. Oh, and up here will be where the cockpit goes, and then I couldn't get the drop ship from Aliens out of my mind. So I had to start over, because that's not going to be my ship. I'm not doing the drop ship from Aliens, I'm doing my ship. So I started over with the second piece of balsa wood because I cut that piece in half. So I started with a block. I started carving away at it and sanding at it, and it looked like I had put like an octagon up front, like a bridge. And I thought, well, it kind of looks like 2001's Odyssey, Discovery 1. It doesn't, but you get what I mean. There's a bridge up front and then the rest of the ship. So I just started carving at it until I got a basic shape that I wanted. Then I did the paneling thing out of styrene and added the panels to it. After that, I did the engines, which were a dowel that I had lying around, and I cut it and I jammed them in there and I drilled holes which aren't equally spaced. They're not centered. I just did it and I packed it in with some modeling paste. Then my favorite part, I got to add all the greeblies from the models. And I literally just went through the models, clipped them off the sprues, and started adding things that I wanted. The thing that I created out of styrene was the door on the side, because I wanted it to have a big door. I don't know why. I figured it out. I was like, it needs to have something. It's either going to have a door or a bunch of windows. I put a window on up front, but the rest of it's just going to have to be a big door. So then after I painted it black. Painted it black, which I almost left it black because, my goodness, when something is all the same color and everything comes to fruition, it really gives it life. Then I thought, I'm going to paint it red. I took some red spray paint and just did one or two passes at most to give it the look that it's got, to give it this kind of dirty, muddy look. I was worried at first that it was going to look like a Warhammer model, because Warhammer models are really bright and shiny, and then they muddy them up, but they're really they're a little too perfect, and I didn't want it to look like that. So I taped off the parts that I wanted to be black, and I painted it red. Then I took the tape off, which gives it a really, I'm so happy with how it turned out. The stand I got from an artsy craftsy store, and I got the clear plastic rods, which I'll talk about later, to put it on a stand. So then, of course, I had to say, well, what is it? What did I build? I didn't put any weapons on it. What is it? Well, it's got a cab up front and it's got a big box in back. It's a truck. I've built a truck. What I built was a freighter. And I didn't realize that, but like, okay, I've built a truck. I built it for transport. Well, I can go online and discover, I decided I was going to make it part of the Star Trek universe as opposed to the Star Wars universe. And I have to figure out, well, how big is it? What's its name? How many people are on board? I had to find out the stats of the ship. So here are the stats for the ship. I present to you NCC 6741 Convoy. Yeah, from the song. I was going to call it the Rubber Duck, but I figure if it's going to be in the Federation, it can't have the name like the Rubber Duck. And 6741 is the last 4 digits of my phone number growing up, and because I'm not going to use that as a password because it's too easy, I needed to use it for something, so now I've got a ship with 6741, the Convoy. Its universe is from the Prime Timeline. It's a Federation freighter from a Federation tanker-type hull. There were 15 built in total of its line. It is 106 meters long. I figured that out by deciding how big it was going to be in comparison to some models I have on my shelf. So here it is next to the original Constitution class. So it's as big as the base of a Constitution class ship, and here it is next to the Enterprise D to give you an idea. It is 35 meters in height. It has 9 decks. It's got a flight deck for 5 to 10 small Federation shuttles. That's the reason for the door, so things can be offloaded and you can land ships on it as well. It has a crew of 30. It has no armaments. It has no weapons. It is a true service vehicle, and it has standard Federation shields because it does. Warp Speeds has a normal cruise of Warp 3, a maximum cruise of Warp 4, and it is rated for Warp 5 for 1 hour. So what obstacles did I overcome to make this piece? I live in an apartment because it's Southern California, and I don't have a garage. I have limited space. And a lot of the stuff I could do in this room, that's fine. But all the painting, of course, I had to do outside. I've got an abandoned lot near me where I was able to do a lot of spray painting when there aren't any cars around, because you don't want to have little flecks of paint going everywhere. So yeah, you got to be respectful for people. So space was small. Other than that, this thing was a complete joy. Mistakes made? Yeah, there's no name on the side of the ship, and there's no number printed on the side of the ship, and if it's for the Federation, it needs clear markings. I will probably fix that, I might. The engine holes, like I said, on the back are not centered. I just went for it. I just went. I didn't sand the block of the ship, so you can still see some of the imperfections on it. I'm fine with that. The base that I bought, when I bought the clear plastic rods I was going to talk about, when I drilled into the bottom of the ship, I drilled at an angle by mistake because I just went for it, like I said, and now it kind of angles like this and it kind of bends into place, which is why it's kind of kiltered strange. I don't care. I don't really care. It's fantastic. It really made me happy to do. Now it sits on my shelf. We'll do a better shot of the ship so you can see it in focus. I've got some special lighting up there right now. It won't stay like that forever, but right now it's perfect, and I'm such a big fan. It was such a joy. What I'm most proud of was the accomplishment in doing it in 10 days, including screwing up. I just did it when I had the free time, whenever I had the free time to do it. After construction, making sense of what I built. Building it, then going, okay, what is it? Going like reverse engineering it rather than setting out to do something. You know, I'm very happy about that. And I'm most proud of putting the door on there. I carved the door out of styrene. I did all the rivets around the corner. I'm proud of the door, putting the door on the ship. And what is next? Am I going to do this again? Yeah, I'm going to do this again. And most importantly, you should do this. If you're into this hobby like I'm into this hobby, this was not hard to do. This was a fun, creative way to use my brain and to have fun. This was a fun project. I really had a wonderful time. I looked forward to it. While I was at my regular job and doing my regular thing, I looked forward to coming home to working on my spaceship. And I'd tell my lady, I'm going to work on the spaceship tonight. I could meet with you, but I can't. I got to work on the spaceship because I'm liking it. And I really did, and I really do, and I really think you should. I really think you should build your own spaceship. Thank you to Adam Savage, and thank you to Tested for teaching me how to panel a ship and teaching me to be a maker, knowing that I can make things with my hands and my imagination and come up with something that didn't exist before, and now it does. This was time well spent. This was time well spent. I thought I'd do a segment about something from the shelf behind me because I realized that there's a bunch of crap back here and I never talk about it all. So I'm going to talk about something from the shelf, another thing that I've built. This is my Deep Space Nine model, which I got from Mini Micro Machines because I realized I needed Deep Space Nine back there. The ship, the little Enterprise on there, I put on, that is from Star Trek Attack Wing. I bought that, and when I realized how tiny it was, and it came on this stand, I put this together and I glued it to the docking ring of Deep Space Nine, so it looks like it's docking. Is the shape, is the size adequate? I don't know. I have a feeling the ship is too big or too small. I have a feeling it doesn't match somehow. I don't know how it works. I've not seen any size comparisons with the Constitution class sitting on Deep Space Nine. But I put this together and I painted it and I weathered it with some Agrax Earthshade, for those of you who know about Games Workshop. And this is another thing that I made and it sits on my shelf. Something from the shelf. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when my stuff drops. It drops on Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go out and build your own Kitbashed spaceship. Enjoy your hobby. Enjoy your time. Spend time doing things that you love. Until I see you next time, as always, peace, love, live long, and prosper. And I mean it.